dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Tonight, more drama in the city of London. In recent weeks, there's been backlash from the community following the death of Doug Harless, who was shot and killed by London police. As Madison Carmouche reports, calls of a lack of transparency on the council led to another heated debate.
The London Community Center is now quiet after an eventful council meeting filled with people at the podium being escorted out by police. Calls for both the mayor and multiple council members to be removed and talk of corruption.
I think the people and the voters of this community deserve to hear the truth. All we hear is transparency.
After a recent seat on the London City Council was vacated, James Jones threw his hat into the running. The council chose someone else, and tonight Jones addressed the public and the council with a recording of a conversation he says is between him and Councilman Anthony Ortega. In the recording, he claims are specific examples Councilman Ortega says he should bring up at the meeting against Mayor Randall Weddle.
And the only reason why that Anthony Ortega and Kelly and Judd and Justin and Stacy all agreed to let me speak today is because they thought I was going to stand here and bash the mayor of London.
While Jones was talking, Councilman Kelly Green tapped each of the council members and encouraged them to walk out of the meeting with her.
After building a relationship with Councilman Ortega, I realized that no matter who came and spoke during these so-called special meetings, no matter what kind of qualifications they had, no matter who it was, that council had already made up in their mind who they were going to select.
Both during and after the meeting, Councilman Ortega never explicitly admitted to that being his voice heard on the recording played by Jones, but he did admit to knowing Jones and having previous conversations with him. In London, Madison Carmouche, WYMT Mountain News.
The next London City Council meeting will be held March 3rd. Officials with the Laurel County Sheriff's Office announced deputies will soon wear body cameras. The fiscal court voted to approve a contract with Motorola for 36 body cameras and associated storage software for nearly $27,000 per year. This will be the first time Laurel County deputies will wear body cameras. Judge Executive David Westerfield says it will help with transparency and accountability.
This takes away any doubt when there's a traffic stop or a situation where the sheriff are involved, and when they have the body cameras, then that eliminates all doubt. They can see, and that way things get settled much easier and much quicker.
Laurel County Sheriff John Root says they expect the body cams to be fully operational in mid to late March.
My goodness, what a picture-perfect Monday across eastern Kentucky. Highs were in the 60s, even low 70s. First time since November 10th, we had a 70-degree high. Made it to 72 on November 10th. Made it to 70 in Hazard, 72 in Jackson, 71 in Manchester, 72 in Williamsburg, Monticello and Somerset, the warm spots, 73 degrees. Again, we had wall-to-wall sunshine across the area. And right now, still not bad for 11 o'clock in February. 61 in Jackson as well as Boonville, Moorhead and Irvin checking out with 63, 55. The Double Nickels in Somerset, 57 in Harlan, 41 in Whitesburg, 20 degrees warmer in Pikeville. There's live pinpoint Doppler radar right now showing a clean sweep across the area, but rain chances will pick up as we go throughout the next several hours. We'll see overnight lows in the 40s and 50s. We'll go to 52 degrees by midnight. We'll see a temperature of 61. We'll go to 55 by 9 a.m., 53 by noon. Again, rain chances are in the forecast starting tomorrow. The question is, when will they let up, if it at all, on the 7-day? Details coming up in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thank you. 2 Wolfe County men were sentenced in separate cases related to sex crimes. 40-year-old Robert Dunn received 30 years in prison. Dunn pleaded guilty to 2 counts each of incest, second-degree rape, and first-degree sodomy. 37-year-old Billy Thorpe received 20 years in prison. He pleaded guilty to 1 count of first-degree sodomy and incest. Both Dunn and Thorpe will be lifetime registrants on the Kentucky Sex Offender Registry. One person is dead and another facing charges following a hit and run in Perry County. Deputies with the sheriff's office responded to the incident yesterday on Highway 15 near the Perry-Bertha County line. 53-year-old Herschel Mullins was hit and died shortly afterwards. Deputies later tracked down 48-year-old Timothy Noyes of Busy. He faces several charges, including manslaughter. A body pulled from the Ohio River this morning has been identified as a missing Johnson County man. David Blevins Jr. was last seen near the Tug Fork River while running from deputies back in December. First responders spent days looking for him. More than a month later, his body was pulled from the Ohio River around 9:30 this morning. The Mason County coroner confirmed Blevins' identity. Officials with the city of Paintsville are raising concerns about a transitional housing center located downtown. The Opportunity Center, under the direction of Addiction Recovery Care, provides housing and a foundation for addiction recovery. The Johnson County Fiscal Court has been a partner in the center since 2022 and plans to help expand the space, but the Paintsville City Council has voiced opposition to the idea, saying the location makes it a risk for the community. However, Stevie Mollett, who recently moved in with his paralyzed son, says it is a needed facility.
Where we've been homeless and everything, it's been hard for us, hard for me to get a job. They're helping with his diapers, food. Like I said, if it weren't for them, we'd already be gone. We'd already been gone. I know we would.
You can see the city's statement and the county's response over on our website. The second part of the General Assembly session is about to begin in Frankfort. Lawmakers will gavel in Tuesday for the final 26 days of this year's 30-day session. Income tax issues are among the bills to be considered. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has a preview.
The first bill expected to clear both chambers is also the #1 priority in the House this year, the half-point cut in the state income tax. It is now in the Senate.
I believe it'll pass. As I've said repeatedly, I intend to vote for it. The people want that income tax cut. It's going to benefit all Kentuckians, some more than others.
Republican leaders in the House say they also want to focus on housing issues, workforce participation, and Medicaid.
What can we do to ensure that the money that is being spent in this state is going to appropriately to the people it needs to be getting to, and then also how can we work on some things and get some folks off of those roles that don't belong there.
Once again, Republicans will have the majority in this session. They will set the tone for laws that will be heard before committee and then voted on in both chambers. However, there are a number of issues that both Democratic leadership and Republican leadership say that they can agree on. One of them is artificial intelligence, making sure information is not falsified to protect people, and energy consumption.
Because when you talk about artificial intelligence, which is growing, it consumes a large amount of energy.
President Trump's executive orders could have an impact on Kentucky laws, and the president even hinted last week he might want the states to take over the federal emergency management issues.
I think that as we've seen with some of our natural disasters that there is a lot of room for improvement in FEMA. I'm not sure we could do it all on our own, but I think that there are some things that the states are restricted on when it comes to that program as well as other.
Session gavels in at 2 o'clock Tuesday in Frankfort. Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The session is set to end on March 28th. As legislators prepare to go back to work, some are on different committees. Senator Brandon Smith of Hazard was reappointed to serve on the Energy and Environment Committee of the Council of State Government's Southern Office. In this committee, Smith will work with 15 members throughout the southern states. He says he has hope for the future of the coal industry in eastern Kentucky with the new administration in the White House.
He wants to move these roadblocks for us, whether it's the Army Corps of Engineers, permitting, EPA, the Division of Rural Water. He wants to help us get these processes much quicker so that a company can know when they can be able to mine coal.
Smith will represent Kentucky voting on key policy positions and more, and will serve for a 2-year term, which will end in December of next year. Speaking of energy, the U.S. Senate voted to confirm Chris Wright to serve as Secretary of Energy today. Meanwhile, tariffs on products from Mexico and Canada are on hold, at least for now, after phone conversations between the president and the leaders of the U.S.'s closest neighbors. And the federal agency responsible for distributing aid overseas is undergoing some massive changes. CBS's Erica Brown has more on all of this from the White House.
President Trump says his threats of imposing tariffs on the U.S.'s closest neighbors are having desired results.
Let me tell you, in all cases, they all want to make deals. There's nobody that doesn't want to make deals. They've been abusers, and they want to make deals.
The White House confirms a 30-day pause for 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada following calls between the president and the leaders of both nations. Late Monday afternoon, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau pledged to strengthen security at the northern border in exchange for the pause. Earlier, Mexico pledged to ramp up security at the southern border.
They've agreed to put in 10,000 soldiers permanently, like forever, 10,000 soldiers at their side of the border and stop fentanyl and illegal aliens from coming into our country.
Across the country, businesses like this food co-op in Kalamazoo, Michigan, nervously braced for the tariffs' impact.
Canada, especially tomatoes and mushrooms. Mexico, same thing. Avocados, they're going to go up through the roof.
This shopper feels the tariffs are a quick way for the U.S. to make enemies.
I think it's a mean-spirited method of getting people to do what you want.
CBS News has learned USAID, which delivers funds overseas to fight starvation and disease, will be folded into the State Department with significant cuts in its workforce and the amount of aid it distributes. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he's now the agency's acting administrator. On Monday, entry to the agency's Washington, D.C. headquarters was blocked. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
The new tariffs on imports from China are still set to begin tomorrow. Salvage operations continue near Reagan National Airport following last week's deadly mid-air collision. Crews lifted the engine belonging to the American Airlines plane from the Potomac River Monday, along with the aircraft's fuselage. Officials say they paused the salvage operation several times during the day after finding more human remains.
Every day we set a goal for what we're trying to accomplish. Our goal for today was to get to the engine, the fuselage, and the wing, and we're going to be successful by the end of the day. Our goal for tomorrow, based on the reduced timeline and the environmental conditions, is the cockpit, and we equally think we're going to be successful.
67 people were killed when the American Airlines flight collided with an Army Black Hawk helicopter last Wednesday. So far, at least 55 sets of remains have been positively identified.